Stephanie Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. The very first step to starting your coaching business is creating your first one-on-one offer. And because it's not enough just to have a really great offer, you also have to know how to talk about it to attract clients and make sales. And I know what you're thinking. How do I even find aligned clients? And what do I coach people on? And what is that next step for me? And is this even something I can do full time? You are making a transition in your life when you are starting your coaching business. And you've likely recently come to terms with the fact that your career isn't fulfilling you the way you thought it would at this point. And you are ready and also scared to create more freedom in your life, serve clients your way without the limitations, and make money on your own terms, selling your own offers. I want to invite you into the Offer Oracle. This is a masterclass, a live training that I will be teaching on Monday, November 13th. I will be teaching you how I created my first 6 figures in coaching just through having a one-on-one offer and learning my aligned sales strategy to repeat and sell over and over again. I will teach you how to make sales in your business without hustling or burning yourself out or overworking, and you can do it while still working your full-time day job. I will teach you the BAA sales system that teaches you the essentials of selling a coaching program and also things you don't need, such as building a super long email list right away, running ads in the beginning of your business, or even needing a website just yet, so that your time is not only strategic, it is focused on making you money, which is the most important thing when you first start your coaching business, is making money, getting people in front of you to coach. That is what makes you a better coach. I will also be opening the doors to my signature program, Business Activation Academy. This is my fundamental course with live coaching, and it's for brand new coaches who are looking to start their coaching business. It's also for coaches that have already started, but they're not yet seeing the sales that they would like. BAA is a coaching community filled with different types of coaches, life coaches, health coaches, relationship coaches, manifestation coaches, mindset coaches, who are all looking to create more sales in their coaching business in a sustainable and joyful way. I will be launching BAA with some amazing bonuses, including a one-on-one call to create a sales plan to make your first sale. Or if you've already been coaching, then we'll create a plan to selling your first 4-figure offer. Go to the link in my bio on Instagram or the link in the show notes right now to sign up for the Offer Oracle happening Monday, November 13th, and I will see you there. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Before we get into the episode on how to start your coaching business while you're working your job, I want to invite you to a really special event happening Monday, November 13th at 12 p.m. Pacific. I am teaching the Offer Oracle. In this workshop, you're going to learn how to create your first coaching offer and learn how to sell it. When you're first thinking about starting your coaching business, there are so many things reeling around in your head, things you've seen on Instagram, things that you've seen other coaches and business owners share, such as, do I need an email list and a lead generation strategy? Do I think about funnels? Do I need a website? Do I need a certification? All you need to start making money as a coach is an offer. This is what you offer your students, and you need to learn how to sell it. And I teach you those two things. That is what I started with, without a certification, without an email list or a website or tons of people in my niche following me. I started with an offer and I started to learn how to sell it. And I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that in this virtual event. So sign up in the show notes below right now. All you have to do is enter your name and your email. You'll get a confirmation email with the Zoom link on it and even a link to add it to your calendar. So I can't wait to see you there, and let's make that first offer. All right. So let's jump into the episode. Today, we're talking about starting your coaching business while you're still working your job. I know many people who are watching me, listening to this podcast specifically, are on the verge of starting their coaching business, or maybe it's something you've already started a little bit, but you're still working your job. And you're really wondering how to become a successful coach or even make the amount of money that you need to make in order to leave your job, and how to really manage both of those things at the same time. Now, in this episode, I'm not going to talk so much about quitting your job and how much money to make before you do that, or the decisions around that. I can either do another episode on that. I coach my students on that inside Business Activation Academy, which is my fundamental course for new coaches. But today we're going to talk about the steps that you take in order to start your coaching business or to start seeing consistent money and consistent revenue in your business while you are working a job that's taking up a lot of your time. Okay. And I think one of the main things that we think, or that we tell ourselves, is I can't possibly start a coaching business because I don't have enough time. Or my job is so draining, it's so consuming, it takes so much out of me. How am I possibly going to be able to add more to that list? And then you might also be thinking, like, I would love to start a coaching business, but the job I'm at right now, I need a new job before I can start my coaching business. So here are the steps I want to teach you to help you start your coaching business without having to get another job, without doing anything differently necessarily in your existing job, and how to make money as a coach while you are still working. And I think that last one, that I need to get a new job. Like I'm not happy where I am. I'm not happy with my coworkers. My boss is always nagging me about something. I'm done. I'm just done with this workplace. I want to start my coaching business, but I know it's going to take some time before I start seeing money and clients. And, I want to put in that education in becoming a coach. And so I need something that's going to pay the bills in the meantime. So let me get a new job and then I'll start my coaching business. And here's what I want you to know. And here's why you don't actually need a new job in order for you to start your coaching business. I think what ends up a lot of the time is we get so drained, getting so looped up in every single thing that is happening in our day to day. Right? Like when we're going to work, we get so consumed by everything that's happening around us, and it starts to chip away at our energy. Like we might start the day at 100% full battery, fully charged. And then we, hear our coworkers talking about something, or they're gossiping, and we join in that, or we listen to that, or then our boss is upset about something. And so we have a conversation about that. And then maybe something ends up like you have to put out like little fires, right? And then you get really wrapped up in that, because then you're thinking, How am I ever going to start my business? I'm being pulled this way and that. And now they want me to come in. I used to be working remotely. Like you give everything so much of your time. It's like 10% here, 10% there, 10% to this person, 10% over to this conversation, 10% to this new project, right? Or complaining about the project that you're currently working on, or how one person is just not pulling their weight. And if they did, things would be so much easier. Or if this manager just like, I feel like they have it out for me, right? And I've been in all these situations, and so I just want to say that I hear you. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to start allocating your energy into a different form. So instead of getting really, really upset, worked up, spending that time complaining, spending that time really soaked up in everything you're doing, like focus on the priorities that you need that are on your plate, that are your responsibility, that your bosses expect of you, or your direct manager that you report to expects of you, and really focus on getting that done as efficiently as possible. Okay. I think what can also help with this is just deciding that this is not your long-term strategy. Your long-term goal and career is to become a coach, is to be a full-time coach, right? And so sometimes making that decision alone will help you distance yourself a little bit in a healthy way where you protect your energy and you don't get so looped up in, oh, we're giving everyone like upgrades and bonuses, and well, now everyone has to do this and everyone has to show up in person and in the company, and like you get so wrapped up in every single thing that's going on and that's happening. That's what's taking a lot of your energy. So by the end of the day, of course you don't have energy to put into your coaching business because there isn't any energy left. You are exhausted. You're so tired, right? There's so many things to think about, and there are so many things that maybe you've even taken home to work on that aren't in your job description, right? So setting boundaries and energetic boundaries as well in the workplace can really help you to focus on the priorities of what needs to be done, how you need to show up, get your paycheck, right? This is what you're here to do, and not bank on, oh, well, there has to be some other really fun, exciting, amazing environment out there. Let me go find that and spend time over there while I build my coaching business. Like it isn't the case, right? Like even if it might be a different boss and different coworkers and different managers and different projects, right? And maybe some different opportunities, you're still going to find something that either irks you or doesn't make you feel fully fulfilled because you've decided you want to be a coach, right? Like you wouldn't be listening to this episode otherwise. If you were feeling fully fulfilled in your work, in your job, in your position, you wouldn't be listening to a podcast on starting your coaching business. It's literally in the title. So there's a part of you that's been flirting with the idea of starting your coaching business. There's been a part of you that wants to create this, that is curious about, how could that look? Maybe you're not fully on board, right? I want you to decide. I want you to just decide, I will be a coach. Okay. And I'm committed to starting my coaching business and putting time into my coaching business even while I'm working this job. And that will help you to show up in a more defined, decisive energy, right? That way you're not banking and waiting for your job to suddenly realize how incredible you are and that they've been undervaluing you and underappreciating you for so long. Here's the thing that they don't necessarily want you to know is that most workplaces have been created and designed with oppressive systemic ideals that exclude women of color, and is created with wounded masculine tactics, male-led, masculine-dominated energy, and isn't necessarily the most fulfilling space for a creative woman of color who is so big in your magic that they can't possibly understand that. A lot of workplaces are created with the ideals of white supremacy and the patriarchy and misogyny, racism, sexism, and the hustle culture that is embedded in any work space throughout America and beyond. And so the fact that you want to start your coaching business means that you have already seen a taste of this, and you've seen and experienced some level of people putting you in a box and restricting how you show up, how much money you make, what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say, maybe how you dress or even your hair. There have been certain levels of watering you down and shoving you into a box, regardless of how well they may pay you or appreciate you, which that is like, that is already a minority experience. There is so much happening beneath the layers that is existing intertwined in the workplace before they even hired you. So in order for you to feel fulfilled, it's not about changing your manager or changing your boss or changing your workplace or going to find a different job. It's deciding that you weren't meant for the workplace to begin with. Corporate and most business structures are systemically, inherently intertwined with white supremacy and the patriarchy and hustle culture and the wounded masculine. And you have decided, there is a part of you that has decided that you don't want a part in this, that you are not fulfilled here, that you want something different. You want more autonomy. You want more sovereignty. You want more opportunity to not just hit a ceiling on how much money you can make, right? If when you're an employee working for a business, you're never going to make more than the CEO. You're never going to make more than your manager. You're never going to make more than your job position unless you keep rising and rising and rising, right? And then there are barriers for women and women of color in the workplace. When you've already made those decisions, your heart is not fully in it. And what takes away and siphons your energy over and over and over is when you keep trying to fix those things. Right? This is a global issue. This is an issue across the board. It's not something that you on your own, one person is going to shift that during the duration of your position there. And it's not worth draining all of your energy. Again, I'm speaking to the person who's listening to this episode and wants to start their coaching business, right? Not someone who's extremely happy in their position. So there is a part of you that has already decided, I want to be fulfilled working for myself and creating my own offers and making money on my own terms. That's what I want to do. And that is where you're going to feel your fulfillment. It is not by gaslighting yourself into staying at a job that you actually hate and you're on the verge of quitting every single time you walk in. It is by creating your coaching business. So I think actually determining that and making that decision is really important. The next thing I want you to do is find and decide the times and the days, possibly, where you can work and limit this to revenue generating activities for your business. Okay. So we're talking about times that you can work on your business, and this coming into this after you have decided that you are going to show up at work in a very specific and strategic way where you just get what you need done, the priorities for your managers, for your bosses, who you report to. You are deciding to get those things done. And you're not going out of your way to be drained by every single thing that's happening. Okay. You're not required to be wrapped up in every conversation and to know everything that's happening, or to constantly be going out to either happy hours or dinners or outings that your coworkers are doing. Like, that can be time that you spend working on your coaching business. So after you've decided those days and times, you want to identify what you'll actually be doing. It's not enough to just block off that time, because then you'll go into that time frame of 3-4 hours and you're going to sit there and go, all right, what do I do? Should be working on my business, right? What can I do today, right? And then you end up scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, and you end up just kind of reeling in this inaction because you're not really sure what you should be doing. And then you go back into that cycle of, should I even start my coaching business? What would it even look like? What is my next step? Should I just stay at this job, try to climb my way up this ladder? Right. So I want you to focus on the core revenue generating activities in your coaching business, which I'm just going to tell you what they are right now. Okay. Your main goal should be converting clients. All right. And creating really clear content, selling content, not just entertaining. You're not an influencer. All right. You are here to sell. So as a coach, you want to decide what you're going to sell, what your offer is, right? And who you're speaking to. Speak to those people and sign clients on sales calls. And so every time you spend time working on your business, you're either creating content, you're jumping on sales calls, you're jumping on coaching calls with your clients. You are finding different ways to connect with new clients. Like, you might commit to a networking event 2 times a month locally so you can meet new people and introduce them and tell them that you are a coach. This might mean spending a couple hours in the beginning reaching out to people that you think might be interested in coaching, or posting inside BAA. This has worked really well, especially for my students who are working a job. They start, posting that they're open to receiving clients. And we call these practice clients beta clients. So they start working with the beta clients before they launch their paid program. It's the same offer, it's the same program. They're just offering it free at first or discounted. And they say, hey, I have 5 spots. I'm going to offer free coaching calls with beta clients. And this is the lowest price it's ever going to be, whether it's free or discounted, that's up to you, before you jump into your paid program. And this kind of lowers the stakes. It lowers the barrier. It allows you to just get people in through the door, right? To become a better coach, you just need a coach. It's not something that you can necessarily, even if you decided to get a certification, which you don't need to, you're just training on how to coach. You just need a coach. That's how you become a better coach, right? When I started my coaching business, I decided what my offer was. I committed to learning how to sell, and I just spent lots of time coaching. And that's how I became an incredible coach. Now I feel like I can coach anyone on anything. So your job, every single time you're spending time working in your business, should be selling, should be jumping on sales calls, should be speaking to people, bringing them into your world so that you can work with them, so you can sell to them. Okay. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I want to say about that. And once you've decided, going back to the first step, you can't change the environment around you. You can't necessarily change what your boss does or doesn't do, or your coworkers, or certain circumstances within your job, but you can shift your energy and your mindset and the way that you protect your energy. I worked with a client years ago, and this was still when I was doing one-on-ones, and she had a pretty exhaustive day job that she had to work at from Monday to Friday, pretty much all day. And what she did, what we ended up creating a plan for her to do was like on her breaks, she would listen to meditations instead of sitting in the back room and gossiping with the other coworkers. She would go for a walk. She listened to my podcast and other podcasts. In the early morning, she would work on her business a little bit, create some content. She would jump on sales calls in the evening with clients. And there were just so many things that she allowed herself to do and make room for, so that when she was at work, it wasn't like she was allowing herself to be drained by every single thing and be pulled this and that way. She had to learn to set boundaries. There were some things she did that was outside of her job description that she had to stop doing. She had to decide to stop being a people pleaser, and she really wanted to start her coaching business, and she did. She found a way to do it. And this is possible for you too. In fact, most of the people inside Business Activation Academy, which is my course for new coaches, course and live calls, they all have jobs, and they find a way to make their coaching business work, whether it's they do calls on weekends or later in the evenings, right? Or earlier in the mornings. And a lot of my students have kids as well. They just find little snippets throughout their day to really make this a reality. And most of you know, I was in college raising my daughter as a single mom. And I was working. I worked multiple jobs, and I ended up starting my coaching business. And before I started my coaching business, I was a content creator. So I worked with brands, not clients, but I would find time to post. And that's when I had to get things up on a deadline, because I would work with these brands and we would have a date, even a time sometimes to post, because they would be paying me for it. So I had to find time to not only create content, I would drive out to San Francisco every single Sunday and meet up with one of my friends who's a content creator, and we would create content for one another. That was one of the only days I didn't have my daughter. She would be with her dad. And so I would go out there, I would have a huge bag. I remember I would stuff this bag to the brim with all of my clothes I would change into, with all of the products that I was creating sponsored content for. And I would have it all in a bag, and we would just spend the whole day shooting. I would be in the middle of the street. I remember people would be staring at us in their cars, and they would either honk at us. I remember one time she was taking a picture of me on the side of the street in San Francisco during, it was pretty busy, and someone like literally took a video of us. I'm sure they wanted to send it to like influencers in the wild or something, but I just did what I had to do. And then I knew I didn't have chunks of like hours and hours of time in between going from work and going to school, because I had classes in the afternoon and I'd work all morning. So between the time I went from work to school, I'd be listening to a podcast. If I parked and I was like 20 minutes early for class, I would sit down and I would create a post and I would post it, and I would tell people how they could work with me, right? Or when I was still a content creator, because this is spanning a couple of years. When I was a content creator, I would post my post during that time. Right? I've done coaching calls in the school library. I've done what I can when I was working in the office of my day job. There were so many things that I just made time to do in between these little increments of time, because I was so gung-ho about building my coaching business. So you really have to root yourself into the why. Like, why are you doing this, right? And why do you want to take action now? Because honestly, a lot of people will get really complacent and feel really familiarized with the work that they're doing in their day jobs. And even though they really want to do something of their own and they really want to start their own business, not just months, but years and decades can go by, an entire life. This happens all the time. People's entire lives can go by just because they keep postponing and they keep pushing it out and they keep saying it's not the right time. Something's happening with my family. Something's going on with the kids. Something's going on over here. Life is never going to make room for you to start your coaching business. I will tell you that right now. If you're waiting for some life situation to settle down and everything to just pass and, oh, let me just wait for this one thing. It's just this one thing. It doesn't normally happen. Let me just do it after. You have to start now, right now. There is no better time. There's always going to be something. If it's not one thing, it's another. All right. Especially if you are a mom, especially if you're working a job, right? And you've got kids to take care of, you have, your partner, you have family maybe that you're taking care of, or like there's just always going to be something. Always. I'm for a big, I always look back and I'm so grateful that I lost my day job when COVID hit. Like they couldn't end up sustaining me and a couple other people on the team. And I was so devastated because they would always tell me like how grateful they were of me and they wanted me to, go full time and all of these things that were so, so important to me, or that I thought was important to me. And I was devastated. I was like, how could they do this to me? And I realized that it was such a blessing from the universe because honestly, I would have stayed. I had plans of like moving up in that company and then maybe transitioning to an even bigger company once I was graduated. I would have just gotten stuck in that cycle of hustle and work. I never would have started my coaching business. I wouldn't have the close relationship I have with my daughter that I have now, that we get to spend so much quality time together. I wouldn't have the relationship with my family and be able to be a caretaker for my grandma. I wouldn't have time for any of that. I wouldn't have had my spiritual awakening, right? And gotten into becoming a Reiki practitioner and coming into my soul gifts and my magic and serving my people so closely. Like all the students I serve, I wouldn't have been able to do that work. All the people who now have thriving businesses because of our work together, that never would have happened. Right? So you have to be the one to decide. You have to be the one that puts your foot down and you just decide like, all right, it's happening and it's happening now. I'm not waiting for the clouds to part. I am not waiting for, a voice coming down from the sky telling me that it's time. I'm not waiting for someone else to decide for me because no one else is going to do that. Right? No, that's not going to happen. You just have to be the one to decide. You have to be the one to say, it's time. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm doing it now. I'm getting started right now. All right. And so the next thing I want to share is another step to starting your coaching business is hiring a coach. I know that if it were completely up to me, I don't, I think I still could have managed to figure it out. I'm very, I've been like scrappy for a lot of my life. I've been very ambitious and very driven, but I think it would have taken a lot longer if I didn't hire a coach and work with someone who could help me to focus on and tell me what were the focuses, because I would have just spun off and done my own thing and spent months trying to set up a website thinking, oh, if I have a website, then people will see me as credible and then they'll just hire me because they'll somehow just find my website. Like, no, I had a coach tell me like, hey, we need to create an offer. You need to work on your sales. And that's what you're going to do as priorities right now. And I wouldn't have figured that out on my own, right? I would have thought that in my own head. I would have thought, well, no, I need to build an email list and maybe I should run ads, like I would have just jumped down the deep end. And when I did hire a coach, I started seeing results and sales and clients. Having someone in your corner who's done this before, who's gone down this path before and is able to give you direction in your journey is such a valuable thing. It's such a valuable thing because then you realize you're not on your own. And also the accountability portion is huge because I was meeting with my coach every single week. And every week he would also check in on me and we would connect and I would tell him what was going on, or maybe if I had some mind drama. I always had the accountability. We had a plan that we created together to help me make money in my business. And it really helped jumpstart my coaching career. Hiring him was one of the best decisions I've ever made because it helped me get my business off the ground. It helped me stay accountable to my goals and my results that I wanted to create, the people I wanted to serve, and the way I wanted to serve them. It really helped me to troubleshoot my sales. Sales is a skill set of its own. If you are tanking on your sales calls and you're beating yourself up about it, don't. It just means that you need to hire a coach and work on your sales like most coaches do, unless you've had some types of sales experience before going into coaching. Being an incredible coach is one thing, but you have to learn how to sell. And not only do you have to learn how to sell, you have to learn how to market your services. Those things, unless, again, you've done this in some capacity before, you have to learn how to do that. That's not just something that comes with knowing how to coach. Knowing how to coach is one skill set. Knowing how to market and write copy that is compelling, storytelling, and descriptive and direct is another skill set. Learning how to close somebody on a sales call and navigate what to do and what to say when they say things like, I don't know, I have to think about it, I'm not sure, I got to check with my husband. That is a skill set as well, learning how to close clients on sales calls. And you best believe when I started as a coach, I was a great coach from the beginning and now I'm even better, but I didn't know how to show up and sell. I had never marketed my own services, right? I'd worked in marketing, and in a way, I did have some privilege and experience in that area. But other than that, I mean, it was brand new learning how to sell and market my own services as a coach. I had never done that before. I had to learn how to do it. I had to learn how to get really good at that. Right. And so these are all things that you can't just expect within the first month to nail completely and have like your first 10K month within like the first couple months of starting your coaching business. It just doesn't work like that, which is why it is smart to hold on to your day job so that you can pay the bills and keep the lights on and keep paying rents or paying your mortgage while you build out your coaching business, right? I always tell my students, like, when you first start your coaching business, it's like a baby. Don't just immediately quit your job and think that this is some type of get rich quick scheme, because it's not. You can't expect a baby to support a family. Even when a restaurant opens or a brick and mortar business opens, like, they expect to break even, like they expect to lose money and at the least break even before they start seeing profits. So don't expect that just because it's coaching and it's an unregulated industry, or you see a lot of people doing it, or you see a lot of really amazing results, that it's just going to happen immediately. Likely those results have taken months, if not years and years and years, right? So you want to have a little bit of strategic pessimism so that when you do create really good results, like you kind of you have intentionality behind it. You have strategy behind it. And this is also why I created Business Activation Academy. I wanted an academy where people had direction on how to start their coaching business and to really like close down all of the fluff, all of the extra things they didn't need to hear, and really focus on what are the most important things that I need to do. So the 6-module framework inside BAA are the most important things in starting your coaching business. And I would say, even if I were to narrow it down, just simply learning how to create a coaching offer and learn how to sell is so important. This framework teaches you how to make money as a coach. And not only that, inside Business Activation Academy, you get live coaching calls with me twice a month, every first and third Wednesday of every single month. It isn't just a DIY course that you do on your own time. We are chatting. I am coaching you. I am personally coaching you and holding you accountable. And I remember the last thing you said to me. So I'm following up with you on that next call. Like, hey, how did that go? Right? I work so closely with my students that one of my students just did their first masterclass this weekend, and as soon as she jumped off the masterclass, she posted in the private Facebook group. Like she DM'd me first, but she also posted in the private Facebook group, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is how it went. This is how many people signed up, and this is how many people showed up, and I feel so good." She was like, "Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for this community." And then she even checked the date, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's exactly 4 months since I've joined BAA." Amazing! Like she was so excited, and we have this really close relationship where I didn't just know about the masterclass after it was done. I helped her prepare for it. I helped her figure out what to do on the masterclass and how to promote it. I taught her what to do in terms of like, here's the landing page, the opt-in, here's what you can say, talk about it to your audience, right? I'm coaching her every step of the way. And then after the masterclass, we're going to evaluate, how did it go? Let's see what you want to do differently. Let's see what you want to double down on, or something that didn't go well versus what did go well. I'm in your corner. That is so valuable when you're starting your coaching business, because you have someone who gets it and you have a community of people who get it. And it's not just her. Like tons of my other students are also either holding workshops or showing up online in their own way. They have a marketing strategy that works for them to grow their business. And it's working because we work closely together to create it for their business. And they're showing up to put that work into motion. Right? So you're not just going to be like, for example, if you weren't working with a coach and you get like, say 5 no's on 5 sales calls in a row and you don't know why, you're like, oh gosh, like, should I even be a coach? Like people are saying no to me. What's happening? And when you're a new coach, that can feel so debilitating, so discouraging. It can feel so it can almost make you frozen and paralyzed in inaction, right? And you might, because you haven't built up your self-concept and your confidence as a coach, you can literally believe what your brain is telling you, that you're not meant to do this. What are you doing? And you might talk about it with your family and friends, and they're like, what do you mean coaching business? I've never heard of that. What do you mean you're going to be a life coach? What is a life coach? You have a job. Go work your job. And then you might gaslight yourself into, oh my God, what am I doing? Why did I do this? I should go work my job. What am I doing? Yeah, I'll just do it. Right? But if you had a coach, I would be like, hey, it's okay. You get no's before yeses. Let's evaluate it. Right? I will sit down and ask you how you went through the sales call. I'll help you troubleshoot it. We'll come up with your own sales process so you know how to sell your own offer and talk about it so well that it feels so clear. And you will work on your sales mindset and your energy showing up as a coach. So you make it all about the client and not about you. And you begin to grow your emotional capacity for uncomfort or discomfort. You get to learn sales trainings through the BAA sales system, which has so many lessons in there, teaching you how to conduct a sales call, navigating your client's objections. I have a lesson called the client brain, and really deeply understanding what your client is looking for and how to help create comfort for them to buy. And then I'll tell you, hey, on your next sales call, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do it differently. And then come back to me and see how it works. Then you'll go into your sales call and you'll be like, okay, I worked on my mindset. Tiffany coached me. I coached myself. Here's what I'm doing differently. Let me try it again. And then maybe that one isn't even a yes, but maybe the one after that, and maybe you get 3 yeses in a row, or maybe the one directly after is a yes. And you're like, oh, I know exactly what to do moving forward now. Right? Or maybe you get a no, but then you realize, oh, it doesn't have to mean anything about me. It's just a no. It's just 2 letters. I'm still an incredible coach. I'm just going to keep getting back up. And this person just wasn't an aligned fit, at least for right now. I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to keep talking about my sales calls. And that is how you become successful. You just keep going. I have heard way more no's than I've heard yeses in my business. I've heard no after no after no on sales calls that have been booked back to back in one day. And I've just had to learn at the end of the night, when I put my head down on the pillow, that it doesn't mean anything about my worth or even me as a coach. And having a coach to coach you on that is so valuable, especially in the beginning of your business when you're kind of fragile and vulnerable and it feels exposing. You're doing something brand new. It's already a big pivot and transition in your life, and it feels really scary. And you want direction, you want next steps. You're not really sure where to move forward. This is why having a coach, and not just a coach, but being in a community of coaches who are there to walk alongside you and on live calls, like in BAA, like I mentioned, we have 2 calls a month. You are going to hear something someone else gets coached on, and you're going to be like, wow, I need to hear that. I didn't even know how to ask that question. Or you hear coaching on something and it doesn't apply to you, but it applies to you 2 months down the road. And now you know how to handle it because you heard the coaching someone else got on it. It's so valuable as a new coach being in an aligned community. And BAA is filled with spirit-led, witchy, intuitive coaches, mainly women of color, and is such an incredible space to be as you're growing your coaching business. It makes you a better coach and a better salesperson, and it makes you more money. Coaches are cheat codes. And when you invest in working with a coach, you literally collapse the timeline where it could have taken you 6 months to a year to sign your first paid client. Maybe it happens in like 3 months inside BAA, right? Depending on the work you put in, your effort, your energy, your experience. That timeline's obviously going to look different for each person, but I can promise you that it will be in less time than if you were to do it out on your own, spend so much time reeling, not getting coached, not knowing how to manage your mind, already feeling vulnerable because this is such a big life decision. Like, you normalize making money in a container. You hear someone who just signed a $1,000 client and someone else who's signed a $3,000 client and someone who had their first 10K month, right? Where else in the world do you have conversations about money and celebrate wins like this? It makes it normalized. And if you're not having those conversations, if you're not having those trainings on sales and you're not being coached and you don't have a community holding you accountable to grow, I still believe you'll 100% do it. But when you decide to do it with a coach, it's just, in my experience and in my students' experiences, it's just been so invaluable. And the return of investment isn't just the money, it's the skills learned and the experiences and the connections made and the support you get that carries you throughout the lifetime of your business. When I learned how to sell from my first coach, I mean, obviously I've had to learn to sell in different capacities and more advanced sales and different levels of business, different revenues of business. But once I learned how to sell from my first coach, like, I still know how to sell. I still sell on my sales calls, and a lot of the energy and mindset I learned from my very first coach selling my very first offer is what I still apply in some capacity as my business is about to cross over 7 figures of revenue. So when you invest in a community, in a course, in a program that teaches you how to sell and teaches you how to start your coaching business, this is stuff that builds the foundation that you get to thrive from for the lifetime of your business, for years and years and years to come. And your money, the money you make, comes back to you tenfold, right? So like, for example, BAA is $55. And throughout the lifetime of your business, you're going to learn how to make that back tenfold over and over and over and over again. Eventually, you're going to be charging $5K per client, right? And you're going to be like, wow, I'm so glad when I first started my business, I invested in BAA that was $5K. And now every client I sign is $5K. Now I know how to do that because I learned how to sell in the beginning of my business. I didn't wait. I didn't try to figure it out on my own. I decided that I wanted support and that I would be a better coach because of it. I love that. Yeah. All right. I want to remind you that the Offer Oracle is open Monday, November 13th. This is a class. This is a virtual free class that you can join, that anyone can join, where you'll walk away with your very first coaching offer and you will learn how to sell it. Again, the most important things to start your business. And you'll also get a special invitation to join us inside Business Activation Academy after the free class. And this is going to be a really exciting enrollment period for Business Activation Academy. And you're going to hear why very soon as I share more info and as I share in the class. And Business Activation Academy is going to be your go-to as a new coach. This is the time. This is it. We're about to start a brand new year. Do not wait until January to start planning for 2024. Don't wait for January 2024 to start planning for 2024. Okay? Don't wait for the year to actually start. You start now. Join us in BAA. You get instant access to the course, and you get ongoing access, lifetime access to the course and the coaching calls. You also get access to all the previous coaching calls from the past 2.5 years. You have everything you need to get your coaching business off the ground and make money as a coach and start working with clients. All right. And I am in there coaching you personally live. Anytime you hop on those calls on the first and the third Wednesdays to make sure you are getting everything you need and making money. My mission is to make sure you're making money. All right. You can sign up for the offer oracle in the show notes, and you can also enroll into BAA, which is always open. The doors are open now inside the show notes as well. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. And I will catch you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.